This is the Queen of Politics edition of The Aaron Cruz Show, the political weekly wrap-up that packs a punch with your host, Aaron Cruz.
Good evening and welcome to The Aaron Cruz Show. This is Aaron Cruz, the Queen of Politics. Thank you for joining me. Tonight, we're going to have so much to cover here. It's been a busy week. Our topics are, tonight on our schedule is firing Comey, the call for investigation of Trump, distractions of the media in Congress, Feinstein plan for California, the last update on City Hall in Palm Springs, California, and also the upcoming elections in California and Palm Springs, and then our By the Numbers segment, first quarter recap for the border report. Before we get started and get into our topics, I want to remind everyone that we love to hear from our listeners and we want to know what topics matter to you. So this show highlights many issues locally and kind of getting together on what you want to hear on Tuesday night on the Political Core with me next week. So I need some time to get everything prepared. So we really want to get some good guests in here to give you the information you want, but we need to know what that is. So I have a few on the list that you guys want to hear, but I want to hear more. So please, if you are online or in chat, drop us a note in the chat box because we're live. We can see that. Or if you're listening after hours to one of our archives, you can also send us an email at secondcityradiocacruz@gmail.com. That's secondcityradiocacruz@gmail.com or at info@aaroncruz.com. We can also be found all over social media on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook by searching Queen of Politics or The Aaron Cruz Show. So there you go. I want to hear from you. So let's get down to business. Woo-hoo. So many folks have their hair in a twirl about Comey. I mean, it's all over the news. It's all over the TV. Newspapers, front page, everywhere I look, I see things on the investigation going on, and the perspectives run deep. And if you're just all too confused about that and dizzy from the spin the last few days, I'm here, the Queen of Politics, to save you and set you straight. I mean, I watch politics all day long. That's all I do. I basically read, watch, scour the internet. Pretty cool. But in any case, I'll kind of give you the rundown. So this is Queen of Politics. This is not Political Core. So Political Core is where we kind of get down deep in the issues. This is kind of Queen of Politics. We're going to go over the issues topically, okay? And I'm going to kind of give you my perspective. I try to be balanced about that. But we have a little bit more fun on Thursday night than we do on Tuesday night, okay? It's Friday Eve. You know that. It's Friday Eve. Let's have a little bit of fun. So, Comey, that Comey guy, you know, the ex-director of the FBI. Okay, this is sticky. Let's look at the background for those not kind of political savvy here. Okay, he isn't that old. He's like 56. He's an independent, or, you know, independent, and he comes from a relatively large family. He has 3 siblings. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not what you wanted to hear. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll get into the other stuff. You don't want to hear about his childhood and all of that and maybe why he thinks a certain way. That's fine. So basically, he's the 7th director of the FBI, and he was appointed to the FBI back in 2013. And he's a former Republican. He's a right. He's a former Republican, and he's now a self-touted, no longer registered to any party per his mouth back in 2016. No longer a Republican. He's an independent. Okay? I'll let your mind wander there. Why he went from Republican to independent after being a Republican for years and years. Well, he's not that old, right? He's 56, but he's been a Republican for a long time. So as far as his qualifications are concerned for the post, I know many of you probably do know a lot about him and kind of where he came from and what he's done and his accomplishments. I see him as pretty level. Okay, his background is tight. But the thing that gets me, being a past registered Republican, is what is the story, okay, that led, the actual story that led to Obama putting this guy up for the post. We know how Obama is. We all know, or many of us know, what Obama's MO is. Okay? All you have to do is look at Holder, or just go ahead and take a look at Holder's replacement, Lynch, of the DOJ, for example. I mean, Comey, he just stands out to me completely. I mean, if he was such an upstanding Republican, now bowed out, why would Obama appoint him to begin with? Think about that for a second, because you see all the spin on the TV and everybody's, talking about this and that and the other, but really kind of think about this and look at it. I mean, this is complete speculation on my part, okay, what I'm going to tell you, but I believe that Obama and Comey have common interests and goals, period. Kind of just a little bit there. I mean, though it could be, I think that if Obama didn't pick the right person, the Republican majority Congress might have been a huge fight. So let's just say he was a safe, moderate choice with his background. So maybe he wasn't on board 100% with everything Obama wanted, but he was going to toe the line enough that Obama could count on him to be a yes man. Because we know Obama and the powers that be love yes men. No men, always yes men. Don't put up a fight. We have an agenda. Don't get in my way. That's kind of how I see it, okay? But I mean, the guts. Let's get to the guts, okay? Comey has a history. His history is hands off. I mean, at least his recent history. I mean, with under Obama. He's almost too hands off. I mean, all we have to do is look at Hillary and the dealings of that and kind of the white glove treatment he gave to maybe sort of, we'll kind of look at that. But now I do give Comey, okay, that during the smash of Hillary and all of her lofty email scandals, the server scandal, the scandal after scandal, and scandal after scandal, that Comey and the FBI were the only real parties pushing for any questions of Hillary Clinton and an investigation. I mean, I actually lauded the FBI for standing up and doing something, if anything, saying something about what Hillary has done and that they were going to look at her. But I mean, they almost couldn't not, right? I mean, the pushback, as we recall, from the Department of Justice was so harsh. I mean, pretty much the investigation just went around and around. It really didn't go much of anywhere. I mean, they had committees, they did all these things, but I mean, it was what the media called a witch hunt. Kind of reminds me of the back down, rewind 60 some odd years, what have you, to the McCarthy investigations. I mean, it was just like, it almost felt like that kind of witch hunt where they're looking for something, they can't find it. Well, there are reasons why they couldn't find it, I'm sure, or they found it but didn't, go as far as they probably should. So, but going back a little bit further, as we recall, and I mean, this really blows my mind. After what we saw with Hillbabe, okay, Hillary Mama, and her email and her servers and whatnot. I mean, go back to when Comey said that the government had sufficient privacy protections. I mean, this guy, he touted that the government basically had sufficient privacy protections from various angles. I mean, there were things in place to protect individuals and the government. He was all about that. Okay? And then later on, we had the request to Apple. And I'm going to go ahead and quote this. Quote, Jim would like a back door available to American law enforcement and all devices globally. And frankly, I think on balance, that actually harms American safety and security, even though it might make Jim's job a bit easier and in some specific circumstances. Wait, should I read that again? And then fast forward. Now, it's 2017 when he was quoted as saying this. Okay, it's almost kind of the opposite. So he was quoted as saying, "There is no such thing about absolute privacy in America. There is no place outside of judicial reach." I'm going to repeat that. There is no place outside of judicial reach. Let me go back a little farther. There is no such thing as absolute privacy in America. None. I mean, he doesn't say there might be, there is, there's no wishy-washy about that. That's absolute, there is no. No. He says no twice. Are you dizzy? Oh, snap. I'm nauseous. Is it because of the spin or the flip-flop or simply because this is absolutely disgusting? When I watch and I look and I see what I see on the TV and then I compare it to what I've read over the course of the last few years and what I've seen on TV and what I've read in transcripts and on government websites even, it's appalling to me. Okay, so I kind of want to break this down for you just a little bit. We're going to have a little bit fun later too. But so when we look at the government and access, okay, we all know that there are backdoors. NSA. But we all know that there are backdoors, okay? You may not want to believe it, but there actually are. And in the case of, as we saw with San Bernardino, sure, government officials had to ask to unlock the iPhone, and it was a complete public splash of crazy that happened after that, okay? We saw posturing by Apple. We saw posturing by the government. The public was outraged and concerned. We saw a lot after that. Everyone was flexing their muscles. But I want to know, after all of that and witnessing all of that, why do we have the NSA? We know that they have been keeping data and information. So, and then we know we have 17 different organizations for national security. Why do we have the NSA? If they have archives or tiny bits of data on everything, why can't we just retrieve it? Well, our government can. Okay, they can also unlock a phone, right? It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, snap a finger. I think it's a matter of whether they can use the evidence, if they can admit the evidence in court, if things weren't done properly. All right. So, but in the court of the public eye, which is kind of the playground that we're seeing played on, on most, these days, is what we see on the TV. That's basically what we have up there is a courtroom. They're sacrificing people left and right, the media. All right, information is power. So what do we know about this Comey guy? About why he was fired? Well, I'm not sure if you've seen Trump's statement yet, or there are these interviews on the TV all over the place. I saw it at the gym this morning. It's almost laughable, really. I know it's a serious thing. I know it's a big deal. All right. But Trump basically calls Comey out on his issues here. He just straight calls him out. He says he wasn't doing his job. I think it's bigger than that, but I also think that that's at a fundamental level. Comey has a job, and he's not doing his job. Or maybe he's doing the job that other people want him to do, but he's not actually doing his job that we, the people, want him to do. Right? Or need him to do, should I say. We all know Comey wasn't doing his job on some level. Even Democrats, they may see him as not doing his job in a completely different way than maybe I see him not doing his job. We could be polar opposites on that. But we can both agree that he wasn't doing his job. I saw Maxine Waters say that if Hillary had made office, she should have fired him, fired Comey. Well, see, even Maxine Waters thinks Comey wasn't doing his job, just for a completely different reason that I see that Comey wasn't doing his job. So if Comey was doing his job, what would that look like, okay? I'll tell you what that'll look like. The Pulse nightclub shooter I'm not sure if you remember him. That's the LGBT nightclub, or LGBTQ nightclub that was shot up by what's now called the Pulse nightclub shooter. He might not have been successful. As a matter of fact, he probably would not have been successful because he would have been probably in jail and in a tight spot. But this guy who shut up Pulse nightclub, he was investigated. His mosque was investigated multiple times, in fact. Okay? It was Hillary. Now, think about this just a little bit. It was Hillary who pushed back and basically said, you can't simply investigate mosques. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole Muslim mosque thing and jihad and all of that. I don't want to go into that. But, I mean, think about this right here. It was Hillary who said, you can't just simply investigate mosques. Well, Hillary was wrong. Comey was wrong for not acting on credible concerns. And guess what? Both of them are out of jobs. Deservedly so. Okay? But also, Comey couldn't probably have gotten the DOJ to prosecute or go through with the process given the power head of the DOJ. Okay? The FBI brought in many cases to the under the DOJ. And I mean, there was nowhere that he could go with some of these because their agenda in the DOJ was completely, contrary to kind of what these cases would represent if they went forward. And, this is just my perspective on it. But that is what we saw. The reasoning why was my perspective, but that's what we saw is kind of this pushback by the DOJ. So, look, under Comey, there were successes. I'm going to give him. He had a career. He did nicely in much of his work. Lifetime of service in different ways. I'm sure he has his successes, but there were also many failures. Okay, terrorism on U.S. soil, and I say terrorism, not lone wolf shooters, not lone wolf situations. I'm going to call them terrorism. Okay, what they are. And if you want, if we'd like to go ahead and reach to a place that's probably realistic, in several cases, Islamic terrorism, because in several cases those people were Muslim. Okay? San Bernardino is one. Pulse nightclub is another. And I've had conversations with several people in the last few days as I've put this together, and they've come up with a list with near a dozen different occasions, publicized or not, that have been tied to this sort of terrorism type link. And I guess the point here is that when there could have been action, there really wasn't. Okay, and that carried over to Clinton. I mean, how could Clinton get away with these servers installed in her home? Classified information sent and received, emails and emails and emails, and no government agency picked this up anywhere. NSA, where are you? I mean, how was it that we found all of this out? Was it Russia? Was it a hack? I thought Comey assured us that our government had sufficiency privacy protections. And we the people did too, right? No. Okay? Think about this whole kind of, I look at it like a black hole. I don't know. It's all kind of convoluted. It's all together, and it's just this big kind of swirly, whirlwind. But I mean, look, Comey could have really nailed Hillary. Nailed her. I mean, just to the wall. The reports, the investigations, I think they were all a show. I sat there one night at a restaurant, and I was reading the redacted report, one of the investigations and reports that were given out, and it was all kind of blacked out. You saw a few words blacked out. And the media scoured through it, so they say. And I seriously read through it, and I had one person ask me, why are you reading The Smoking Gun? That's what somebody next to me asked me. Why are you reading that smoking gun? There is no smoking gun. And I just said, there is no smoking gun. There is a smoking gun. I mean, I just kind of went back around. It was kind of like a joke where there's nothing there, Aaron, or is there? And it was embarrassing as I read it. I thought to myself, why is this junk presented to the American people? I mean, is it even accurate? Do we know? All of these government bureaucrats putting together loads of data and information, coming up with nothing? I mean, I think they were all a show. They were to pacify Americans, okay? If you got a report and the media reported on a report and you felt like somebody was doing something, did you at least feel better about it? If they wanted a conviction, I mean, look at the approvals, okay? Just look at the vast size of government now, okay? Look at even smaller government offices. If you want an approval to purchase a computer, okay, and to have it installed, to purchase a server and have it installed and set up and have the person who needs to come and set it up. And I mean, all they had to do was look at the purchase orders. Look at who missed the transmissions to unsecured sources. I mean, where did this information come from, and who did it go to, and who was talking to who? I mean, the smashing of cell phones, the shredding of papers. I mean, there were careful statements that Hillary made. I mean, she put off her interviews. The list goes on, and they drug it out. Okay? Her careful statements that were taken to public opinion court. Once she finally got on the stand, people were just watching, and then they were basically thrown out the window. Okay, Hillary kind of testified. Why? I mean, election years suck. I get it. They're completely filled with ups and downs. But this guy, Comey, Hillary, and Obama, all of them, okay? All of them. And I know this is kind of accusatory, but I can't help but just say it. All of them knew Hillary was in the wrong. And who did anything about it? Who cared? And when Comey did speak up about Russia and Hillary, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. So now, then, he was not the Democrat buddy anymore, okay? He was a foe. He stepped outside of the ring of protection, the salt circle, if you will. I mean, he was blamed for Trump winning. He went from mama's little boy and daddy's little boy to now the blame game, it's all on him. Trump won, you did it, we don't like you anymore. But now we like you, because we don't want you gone, because we want our yes guy. But that isn't it at all. I mean, that was all kind of spin. Media spin to play with you. Now, Trump, the Donald, okay, this is the lowdown and the down low, and kind of how I see it. I mean, filtered with the right frame of mind, I really think this is it. And it's just me. It's just my view. And you can think on your own. You have your own mind and your own perspective, and I respect that. People who know me in real life could probably agree with that. But here it is. I mean, Trump should have come in like he promised. And he did in many ways. He should have cleaned house, all right? Replaced the heavy hitters that were letting the criminal Clinton machine get off easy. He should have broke up the corruption ring right then and there. Okay? Top down. Slam dunk. Period. End of story. I get why he might not have and why he chose to take his time in certain areas. I mean, he's been working tirelessly in so many ways on so many issues nationwide, but it would have been better straight out of the gate. I mean, I get why he might have wanted to keep Comey on for a bit to see how things were operational and then take action once he saw for himself, kind of how things worked and how things were operating and what was going on. I get that. But now, though, because he waited 4 months, okay, we see Democrats calling for blood. Look, they're comparing Trump to Nixon. I've had 3 conversations today, and it's just little of me talking to this person or that person and, making conversation here and there. I've talked to 3 people just today who compared Trump to Nixon for criminity's sake, okay? Saying Nix was the last guy to get the FBI post out of guilt. I mean, whoa. Whoosh. Spinning again. I mean, the creative thinking here is outstanding, really. I mean, the political hacks, the pundits, they're completely spinning too. I mean, they're saying that Trump only caught wind of Comey's request for funding for further investigation into Trump and his Russian ties just a few days back. And that is why, creatively speaking, he wants Comey gone. Well, no. I mean, cut the crap already. With the platform and voting base that Trump has, the promise to drain the corruption-filled D.C. swamp, it would be zero surprise, okay, to the left, zero surprise to remove the FBI director that let the Clintons go yet again. And I say again because the FBI has investigated Clintons back to Whitewater, okay, some 30-some years. Add, subtract, multiply, do it however you want. It's been a long time. But let's get back. I mean, Trump could have easily justified his actions. I mean, I don't think that has ever been done before in our history, but he could have made a clear case just a month or so into his presidency and gotten far with it and just said, nope, we're changing over. I said I was going to drain the swamp. Here we go. Top down, I'm getting rid of this person, this person, this person. There's corruption. We're going to end it right here, right now. The American people, they're done. We need to do this. And what are the liberals going to say? Oh, he ran on this criminy and pulled their hair. He could have done it. But we can't go back. So here we are, with a liberal media that has plastered Trump all over the television and all over the internet. I mean, what gets me now, I guess, now balance is what I try to do here, right, okay? But be it Democrats or Republicans or independents, the FBI is supposed to do their jobs. The DOJ, do their jobs. Illegal acts, I mean, that's what they deal with. Do your jobs. With all of the things surrounding Hillary, why is she now off the hook? Okay, even in the public eye, but we don't see anything going on in the DOJ or the FBI, really, right? And Trump now has this target on his head. Okay, they want him gone. The machine wants him gone. They also want disorder. They want busyness. And no, we are not going to give that to them. All right? We need to see this how it is. No investigation needs to be done into Trump and Russia. None. None, none, none. He didn't cause Hillary to lose. Neither did Russia. Okay, actually, if we really want to look at who caused Hillary to lose, dun, 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 it was Hillary. Hillary, Hill girl. Her irresponsible server, her emails. It was her loving Democrat administration. Okay, they helped. That of Barack Obama. And they were the ones overseeing national security. Obama was. All of his team was. They were the ones watching. They were the ones creating the initiatives of the time. They were the ones watching over, making sure that we were safe and we were secure. They did that for 7.5, 8 years. I mean, 8 years, but you know what I'm saying. Before that time, before she lost the election, before it was 6 months to the actual ballot box, these people were supposed to be making sure our country was secure. And here she is with her server and her irresponsible emails. Okay? They were the ones enforcing laws and making sure our election infrastructure and our electronic infrastructure, every infrastructure that we had, was airtight. Okay, they were the ones who let Hillary off the hook. They let her go rogue with her electronic activities, which led to her ultimate political demise. Period. Okay? So as for the Trump movement, I originally, and I call that the Trump movement because it was really a movement. It wasn't just this person running for presidency. It was really quite a movement. Originally, I supported all candidates, all right, including Trump. And then basically I moved to supporting Cruz in the primary, only to return to Trump for the general election. Okay, I myself went to Trump rallies, and I saw the fervor of the people, the drive for America to once again have a president who would lead them and their nation to restoration. It was amazing. Even if I was still kind of at that point for Cruz, I went. And I saw it for myself. And it was amazing. I want to go, and I want to say this here right now. He might have won even without the leak. Even without what happened with Comey. What Comey said. You never know what could have happened, but Comey, his speaking out, I think that was chump change. All right? But now here we are. We have Trump, and we're cleaning up D.C. Okay? And many Americans, nearly half of voters, supported this approach in November. And now we need to see it out. We need to back it up. We need to back it up. We need to clean D.C. We need to drain the swamp. We need to support our president. That's what we do as Americans. Okay? Now, I want to take a moment here for those joining us a little bit late in the show. You are listening to the Queen of Politics of the Erin Cruz Show, featuring moi, Erin Cruz, with Second City Radio, California. And we are discussing the Comey firing and other hot topics from this week. Hopefully setting the record straight just a little bit. So thank you for joining us tonight. So as we look at the Comey firing, I really want to get back into that. This thing has me kind of in a whirl too. But as we look at the Comey firing and we hear calls for investigation of Trump and all of this, and they want to find the money and they want to find the smoking gun. Didn't we hear that with Hillary? Anyway. As we hear calls for investigation, we need to look at it with a level head, okay? I know I'm a Republican, registered Republican, but I look at myself as a constitutional conservative, okay? I do have a libertarian side to me. And me personally, I also try to look through things with the least filtered lens that I can when I first approach them. So, but what I'm asking everybody to do is, no matter what side you're on, no matter how you think about it, we need to look at this with a level head. The media that is addressing and amplifying the drive for investigation needs to be held to standard. Flat, simple, period. Held to standard. Come on, really, folks. Where was this seriousness? I was watching the TV today. They were all serious. And, we need to get down to this. Where was this seriousness when national security breaches happened with Hillary Clinton and her server not using government secure phones? Oh, it was too hard to have two phones, she said. Her email's gone rogue. Surely she would have been held to the wall. It's the same media, right? No, 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 no. The media basically laughed, called it a witch hunt. When there was evidence of wrongdoing, they didn't press the FBI to the wall. They didn't press, they just kind of went with it because the public kind of wanted to know, and so they had to say something about it. But most things that had any value were put out really late at night, and by the morning they were filtered through and you really wouldn't see them. I know it, my friends know it. We've passed all this stuff around for months and months and months and months and months, and we saw it time and time again. The media basically laughed, calling it a witch hunt. Okay? This same media did not at all take the Clinton emails and servers seriously. They just didn't. They basically, at the time, were helping Hillary campaign. It's a complete double standard. And this is freedom of the press we're talking about. People who have the ability to go in and ask questions and really demand answers. So, in this, because of this, okay, I have to give Trump a green light to move along on his agenda. I have to say, just keep going. The media, the MSM, is not going to help Trump's cause. They're not going to help corruption. It's up to you on which way you think on this, but really, I caution you to look at media with a filtered lens. I don't agree with Trump, or any politician for that matter, 100% of the time, and I call them out accordingly, but, we have a huge mess in D.C. and nationally. Even in small communities. I see it all over in California right now. Okay, we have people here in California who are standing up against huge, lifelong politicians like Maxine Waters, coming up against her and wanting to really help the people because she's not helping anybody. She says the darndest things, and you can't, she lives on the edge of her district. I honestly don't even know why she holds office anymore, but there are good, solid people running for these offices that really want to do good work for the people. And the corruption in these areas runs deep. You can't get fresh blood to help run communities and to help we the people. And right now, what we're doing is we need to go ahead and we need to take action, and we need to get rid of these politicians, these lifetime politicians. I mean, some of them have experience and really can help us, but in other cases, you just have to wonder how much they're actually contributing and how much they're costing us really as a nation. So right now, we need to act. We need restoration, and the media seems only to be inflating emotions for the negative and not even influencing positive change independently. Okay, looking at it from both sides, it seems very, very agenda specific. And Trump, if he has nothing to hide, which, he may have business dealings that he did once upon a time. He's a businessman. He deals all over the world. Let go of it. Now he's working in government, and he needs to be a lot more careful with what he does and with whom, because we need to make sure that, he's doing things right and on the up and up. But if he has nothing to hide, he needs to move forward with a new appointee, and the next issue needs addressing. Period. Just keep going. Push through. Keep going. Don't stop. I mean, speaking of the MSM, okay, and they're not helping issues, because I really want to touch on this. So let's look at Feinstein. Whoop, whoop. So we're back down here in California, corrupt California, and I have a heart for my state and my people. So in response, because she's one of our hot topic items tonight, in response to Trump's 100 days, okay, she released this statement, and it rings my ears. But what and why she did this, okay, why she did this was that basically the driving force behind her actions here in California. I mean, look at this, okay? Let's look, and I'll read actually her press conference for you and her press release word for word right now, because we really need to take a look. I mean, this lady is 83 years old. 83. I'm not ageist. Well, maybe when it comes to Congress, I might be a little bit ageist. But, well, not really ageist. It's just a matter of, let the people who are more connected to the people lead the people. But anyway, let's get into her press release, which I will quote and read, and I will let you know when I'm over and done with on this. I know it's going to be boring, but don't yawn too much. But I do want to read it to you because it's important what we see, what's going on with these California politicians. She and Pat, she's a senator. So anyway, quote, President Trump in his first 100 days has had more false starts, failed policies, and bad ideas than most presidents have in an entire term. President Trump and congressional Republicans have used a little-known tool, the Congressional Review Act, to roll back hard-fought progress on a number of issues. They made it easier for mentally ill individuals to buy guns. They made it harder for working families to save for retirement. They allowed mining companies to dump coal ash in streams. They allowed states to block funding to Planned Parenthood. They let oil companies hide payments from foreign governments. They let internet service providers sell personal information without consumers' permission. Simply put, President Trump has used his first 100 days to boost Wall Street profits at the expense of American families. He has also used his executive authority to impose a number of terrible policies. He imposed a Muslim travel ban, he refused to safeguard voting right protections, he rolled back climate change rules, and he shifted immigration enforcement away from dangerous criminals. President Trump's policy changes will have one stark effect: to undermine our efforts to create more just society and protect the rights of all Americans. These changes will have tremendous effects on people's everyday lives, and I remain committed to fighting these policies at every turn. End of release. This was a press release dated back to April 28th, but really it was not sent out in this form until May 10th, only a day after Comey was given the boot. Yes. Okay. And you read that and it's like fingernails on the chalkboard. Talk about spinning. Spinning. Not only does Feinstein make several missteps in her press release, she outright blows smoke. I mean, seriously blows smoke on the real actions Trump has taken, which is to secure the future of all citizens and to protect the security and national interests of this sovereign nation. I mean, his duty is to country. His duty is to the, is to the citizen, to the United States citizen. Okay? Feinstein goes on to talk about her new California legislation that aims to protect, and to, quote, shield farm workers from deportation. This is a very crafty wording here. Very crafty wording. Remember that soft speak? If you were listening to me on Tuesday night and we had a little talk on soft speak, that's what this is. I'm the queen of politics. I know how this shindig works. Right here, this is pandering. Let's just cut to the chase. She's looking to the good workers in California for support. She wants voters. What kind of voters are those? A voter is a voter, right? Even dead people, as we've seen it in the last several elections. But why? Guess who's up for re-election? Yep, Feinstein. 83 years old, one of the longest serving. Feinstein will be running for Senate in 2018. The filing deadline was in March. Did I miss something? Feinstein is basically banking on illegals voting for her. Period. Okay, she's confident she will win again. Just like Maxine Waters is, okay? We have 1.5 years to get this woman out. That's my spin. And I say that, if you are a Democrat, if you are a centrist, if you are somebody who cares about these communities and California, the California Republic, in my opinion, if you are a taxpayer, and a good citizen, you would want her gone. You would want people who enforce laws, okay, who stand up for the taxpayer, stand up for the citizens of this republic, of this state, okay? But basically with Feinstein, she's effectively proposing legislation to harbor criminal illegal aliens from deportation. That's what that is. That's what her soft speak was. Shielding farm workers. Now, mind you, there are people who do come here who work in our fields, and they do come through legally. And many people, I worked in immigration, well, not in immigration itself, but I worked in specialized HR, and I know about all of the different types of workers and all of these sorts of things. So there are people who do come here through our borders every day. They drive up and they drive back. There are people who stay here and they work and then they go back. Legally, I'm for that. Come in the front door, okay? But what she's effectively proposing is legislation to harbor criminal illegal aliens from deportation. And I'm wondering how she can be to let sit in that seat. Who is letting her sit in that seat with that kind of an agenda? At 83, she ought to know better, right? She ought to know the difference between right and wrong. And when was it, please, that any other nation let people who come into their borders work without proper entry and paperwork? I mean, we aren't the only ones, as the United States, that have laws, that need following. And we have so many things. Everything is just sticky. But the one thing is that every other country, they pretty much have laws to protect themselves. We have laws to protect ourselves. Law is law is law is law. Okay, even if Democrats pass laws, like here in California, what we've been seeing, laws that are unconstitutional, laws that really aren't laws, it doesn't make them valid. Okay, it doesn't make them right either. Actually, what I see it doing is it makes Feinstein a criminal, doesn't it? If she's proposing laws that are unlawful. I'm not a lawyer, so I'll leave that to the professionals, but as far as the layman goes, from many of our perspective, many across the nation are really bothered by what's going on here in California and its move to be, by liberal politicians to abandon rule of law and to protect criminal illegal aliens. Many have actually heard, and I've heard this, and it's not exaggerated, many have called for California's federal funding and support to be pulled by Donald Trump. Okay, me, I see it a little bit different, but let's get back to the old lady, Feinstein. I really struggle with that. She's 83 and she's going on her, fifth term? And that's not her first, this won't be her fifth term and that's when she started way back. No, she's had a life in government. So anyway, yeah, she doubles down. Not only that, and she puts in a bit about her Equality Act of 2017. I thought equality meant equality. Okay, we already have protections. We are equal. Citizens are equal. Okay, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, male, women. It doesn't matter what you do in your bedroom. Doesn't matter your age unless you're Feinstein and running for Congress for the fifth time. But I thought overall we're equal. Equality is equality is equality. Okay, and we already have protections under federal law. And so apparently this is just posturing by Feinstein. So there are a few things even Feinstein can't overrule, okay, and that's federal law. There are some things that go down to the state level and some intricacies, but immigration law, as it pertains to illegal aliens, that's kind of a no-brainer there, okay? You can't harbor an illegal alien. It's just like a no-no. You just can't do it. You just can't. So now she proposes that this legislation is to protect those facing gender equality issues. Yeah, some of her legislation actually is jaded. It's kind of slanted, and she twists it. So gender equality issues, basically religious persecution, anybody who might be facing struggles because of what they believe, and also letting those onto jury duty who might otherwise not be eligible. Now, what the heck does that mean? Please let me know, because I want to know. Are those felons? Are those illegals? I want to know who's going to be on our juries, because that's a little bit scary. And loans, she wants everybody to be able to get a loan. We know how that worked, right? We remember the financial crisis. We remember the housing crisis. We know how that worked. That didn't work out so well, did it? So she wants federal funding accessible for all. I'm sorry. Beep, beep, beep. This to me sounds more like pandering, because, and who was it who said, once the people realize they can vote themselves money, they will vote for Feinstein. Sorry, my humor can be a little dry. I know. But really, they will. They'll vote Democrat. And she's basically saying the taxpayer money is everyone's money, okay? That rule of law is no more. The state can do as it pleases. And I'll give you the link later. You can look at this. But basically, it's buying votes. And in the case of California, I hope they look at the record and cost of having Feinstein in office and choose wisely, because there's no worse choice at this point for that seat. From rule of law and the taxpayer standpoint, it doesn't matter what side you are, this is going to be a costly seat. And I know we talked about cost the other day and how some of this isn't monetary, but really, this is costly. And then she goes on to triple down. I'm telling you, this woman has no coup. She triples down and she goes on and she puts out legislation, puts out another statement on the AHCA, on Trump Care, complaining about it. Here's her statement. Quote, "The Republican plan will hold our state hostage by denying tax credits to Californians unless the state changes its law, even though the Affordable Care Act adheres to federal law." I mean, it's no different, that was the end of the quote, it's no different to the approach that the feds have taken historically. I mean, look at medicinal marijuana. The feds are restructuring the payout of credits to families in need. She's basically scaring people. But the federal government and this new healthcare system are looking to restructure the payout or credits to families. I mean, nationally, they're making a better, simpler way for families to get what they need in terms of healthcare and health coverage. And her claim is completely unsubstantiated and emotionally driven. She's just playing on heartstrings. So the feds are not going to give two handouts. I'm sorry. They aren't going to let the states take money for one thing and then they give it out again in another way. No. And this is exactly it. They can't just we have to keep it simple, folks. And Feinstein needs to toe the line. California needs to toe the line. We need to all get on the same page and figure out a system that works. And her claim is completely unsubstantiated. So yeah, if California doesn't toe the line, the feds are not paying out. Why would they? So taxpayers already pay enough out to those in need. Really, they do. And in this case, I think she's merely posturing again. I mean, what she doesn't realize in all of her positions, there are literally millions of taxpayers, okay? Millions of us taxpayers, California taxpayers, who voted Trump, who voted to revamp and gut our corruption out of our political system, to deregulate things. This career politician doesn't want to play straight. She would rather get her populace all worked up, and her last rant went on about the 24 million that might lose coverage. I mean, we won't even give her attention on this. This has been debunked already, okay? So there were a few more things she hit on for California and national measures, and the last was Planned Parenthood. And when she's doing this, you just kind of have to think long and hard. So Feinstein votes against a bill to defund Planned Parenthood. That was March 30th, 2017. She voted no, saying, quote, "The effect of this callous effort by congressional Republicans will be that fewer women get the health care they need. That's shameful," end quote. Now, if you have small children listening, I would like to caution you that I'm going to go into a little of something right now. It's not bad what I'm going to say, but I just want to say it straight out. Basically, Feinstein is cool with federal funding of abortions that murder hundreds of thousands of Americans annually in the womb. Yes, I just said it, okay? And she calls it health care. Now, I get that Planned Parenthood does many different things. and this is kind of a hot potato topic, but y'all, this is Planned Parenthood. It's a money shuffling scheme. They were taken to Congress in hearings. It's like that of the Clinton Foundation. Okay, they take money in from feds and hundreds of millions in donations, and they move them in accounts, and they money shuffle, or they move effort. Why do the feds hand out multi-million-dollar companies money at all? Why is it, okay, that Planned Parenthood just can't seek private funding entirely, be a standalone? Okay, thing is, I think that if they did restructure to have one entity for abortion, the money would still shuffle and pay the same machine. I think they would still figure out a way, kind of like Acorn did way back. And we may run a little bit over, folks, just so you know. I still have a couple of issues to talk about, but back to Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood comes down to this, and the funding for abortion. Okay, it comes down to this. And I appeal to all groups right now, no matter what you believe, to really kind of think of this. Do Muslims support abortion and birth control? Do Catholics support abortion and birth control? Do Mormons support abortion and birth control? Do Christians support abortion and birth control? Do Buddhists, do other religions support abortion and birth control? Do even atheists who don't want to pay for somebody's birth control because they just don't want to? I mean, really, the religious aspect. Do they want their tax dollars going to first, second, and at times third trimester abortions in some states? Okay, if their religious liberties protect them from paying, then darn it, pull federal funding, okay? If people can't choose what their tax dollars go to, and politicians like Feinstein hand out money that literally kills, then we must support the minority and pull the fund and the religious perspective of those individuals, their conscience, and pull the funding and let people pay direct who want to. We all know that foundations and charities are nonprofit for a reason and far more efficient than government, okay? And so this, I see, is the way to go. Let the people choose where their money goes. I mean, right from their wallet, straight from their wallet. And just my 0.02, my 2 cents. You can make your mind up on the issue. Me, I stand for freedom and less government. It's up to you what you believe on that. Again, I said I was going to go ahead and run over. I still have to talk about Palm Springs and then also our by the numbers report. So we may run about a half hour over. Hopefully you'll stay with me tonight. All right, on to Palm Springs. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the corruption because I think that it's important to highlight. Everybody, think about this. What's going on in your town? Okay, what's going on in your city, in your county, in your state? What's going on there, really? Many different people are facing these sorts of corrupt government power controls. Different influential people, new people can't get in, scratching backs and whatnot. So it's gotten really messy around the mayor this last, year and a half. And you may or may not know about it. I'll provide the link later. But it got messy, and it's just getting started. Apparently, as the update stands, there are now charges filed in several land properties that are tied to the scandal with the mayor, or the former mayor, should I say. And there still needs ironing out on how all of the intricacies are going to work. And for those not intimate with the details, there were some reported conflicts of interest among government officials in land deals in the valley. So much has come from this case, and the ins and outs. It's ongoing, really. And I'll read the statement as it was reported by the Desert Sun back in February, and I'll also attach it here so you can read it if you'd like to. So basically the mayor, they call it, what is it, Pogate? I don't know. They named it a gate. But anyway, the mayor of Palm Springs is a two-term mayor and former Democrat candidate for Congress. And he was basically charged with 9 counts of receiving bribes, 8 counts of conflict of interest as a public official, and 3 counts of perjury. And if convicted of all of the charges, at 53 years old, he would be barred from life from holding public office and face a potential maximum sentence of 19 years in state prison. I can't talk tonight. The DA office said. So, I mean, I can't find very much on the outcome. I did see something that they're talking about. They were talking about the arraignment and some other things surrounding that. Basically, I called and left a message requesting an update, and I haven't heard back. But he's now out of office. Okay, he's no longer mayor, but there are still concerns about the land tied to the corruption, and it's kind of like off to the races, baby, because the election's coming up. It's in November, and there's going to be a new sheriff in town, hopefully. And hopefully we can clean up our city. And I'm hoping that happens around the country, too, as well. We see a shift in the power of the people in taking things on locally. It should be pretty great. But on a sideline, I also wanted to talk about, because the corruption here in Palm Springs also hit the city council. 2 seats are up so far, with 2 others, 2 sitting council members, Float and Mills, haven't said whether they plan to run again. So there are quite a few seats open. And locally here, there are some dates to keep in mind. Nomination period is July 10th through August 11th, but it will be extended 5 calendar days in the event of neither incumbents file paperwork. And Palm Springs requires not less than 80 signatures, which must be verified by the county. And for both races, the mayoral race and the city council, the election is November 7th, 2017. So that's coming up. So there you have it for the mess in Palm Springs. Hopefully, as we gut these different offices throughout the state and city and state and country, cleaning up DC, we need to sweep and clean up our own towns, right? So hopefully there will be this new governing body with morals and ethical standards. We'll see. We'll see. So anyway, now for our By the Numbers segment. Woohoo! We have excellent news. Numbers speak. Action speaks. And I released this today. Trump border initiative results in 17-year low of illegals, unaccompanied minors crossing into the United States. So we are in great times, folks. The latest Border Patrol report is basically in, and it gives us good news and a good show of what's to come. The border apprehensions have continued to drop since Trump took office. There was a huge drop. I think it was a 9% drop in April, marking a new 17-year low record. Okay, this is outstanding. The report also shows that the total border apprehensions have dropped by 76% since President Trump was elected. I mean, could we pray and hope that we don't even have to build a wall if we're enforcing our borders otherwise? That would be fabulous, maybe, for those anti-wall folks. 76% it's dropped since January. Awesome. So yes, this is huge. It's amazing what happens when the proper and correct message is sent regarding border security and national security initiatives. In April, 11,129 law-breaking border crossers were apprehended, a steep drop from 12,196 in March. And to give you a comparison, there were 38,738 apprehended in April of last year. Okay, let me repeat that. Last year was 38,738. This year is 11,129. 38,7, 11,100. That's amazing. So the other beautiful number to drop, and this is where my heart is, okay? This was that of the most vulnerable in the world. The unaccompanied minors, the ones that are trafficked over. Only 998 unaccompanied minors were caught crossing the border. This is the lowest month since the Obama administration record high surge in 2014. Family units also dropped to a low 1,119. Okay? It's still too high. Okay? That 998 unaccompanied minors seem to be zero. All right? So the report was highlighted by a statement from DHS and what I call a great move for America, for our border enforcement folks, as well as those who are risking their lives to come to a nation using illegal means through the back door. And I quote, "A lot of the discussion about changes in our enforcement policy and the way we are going about doing business, we believe has detoured people," said Homeland Security spokesperson David Lapon. I mean, quote, "When you get here, it is likely you are going to get caught. You're going to be returned to your country. Now," end quote. That's what we need to be sending to these people. Action. You need to stay in your country. You need to build up your own nation. Stay there. Build your nation. Okay. And I quote again, "This messaging, backed up by actual enforcement and policy changes that people are responding to," okay, said Jessica Vaughan, I can't pronounce her name, Policy Studies Director at the Center for Immigration Studies. She says, "The continued drop suggests this is more than just a fluke," end quote. Of course it's more than a fluke. This is winning. This is what winning looks like under Trump. This is what action does. This is what sending people back down does. This is what total enforcement does. It cracks down, it cuts down, it ends the cycle. Okay? It ends the cycle. This is more evidence, okay, showing that through proper notification and awareness, through the spreading of information to other nations, through action, national initiatives can be met relating to border enforcement. With the border wall, we could really make a long-standing impact that would, I think, surely drive our economy, resulting in more jobs for American citizens, and even people who wanted to come legally through the front door. If we're more secure, we can offer more as a people. We know what we're dealing with. When we have these unknown questions and variables, we can't, it takes the power out of our hands and the security out of our hands to be able to do what we need to do. But when we know what's going on, we can help others, okay? So I think that with this border wall, we could make that impact, okay? And we also would bring less to the table with the internal enforcement costs, because if we have less people here that we need to send home, we can par down those initiatives just a little bit, and that'll save us money in the long term too. But what I want to ask you to do is please continue to press your local and national representatives to enforce laws and fund multiple initiatives. We need to ensure we are dealing with the border issues that affect us all nationally, not just at the border. Okay? In addition, and not just at the southern border, the northern border too. In addition, if you feel led, please encourage that Congress fully fund a comprehensive wall that'll protect all Americans and humans as well as children who are being trafficked to the U.S., okay? It's a long-term issue. Whew. So we're wrapping up. I know this was a whirlwind of a good time. I hope you learned a little bit of something. As I will always do, I'll give you the info and resources used in the show, along with the contact phone number of Congress. Are y'all ready? So the number for Congress is 202-224-3121. You can also go to house.gov or senate.gov to find your representative and send them a little note. You can also look up the resources on my website, erincruz.com, erincruz.com, or send emails and inquiry info@erincruz.com. I will also be putting out the reference data on social media. So in the interest of everyone, local and national, if you ever want us to cover something for you, or if you have tips for us, please reach out. We're here for you. Me, the Queen of Politics, I'll do what I can to help you get out the message of truth. And we really need to unite, right? So let's band together. Make sure you reach independent sources for your news and data. And thank you for joining me, Erin Cruz, the Queen of Politics from the Erin Cruz Show. Join me again next Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Political Core, where we get to the core of the issues that matter to you with information you can use and trust to make positive change in your community, in your state, and in the nation. Have a blessed evening, all, and God bless you, and God bless America.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Queen of Politics and the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.